The purpose of diplomacy is to put our students in groups where they are challenged to look at the causes of war in a simulation environment. By doing this, they get to look at the actual causes without actually studying them or the teacher standing in front of the class and explaining what they are. And we do this game to start our World War I unit because it allows the students to immerse themselves in the causes of war without actually realizing that they're going at it from that perspective. This is really powerful because what it does is it has the students looking at alliances, has the students looking at militarism, has them thinking about strategy as we give them a set of objectives, and they have to decide, do we want to have allies? Do we want to go it alone? What are the chances? How do we plan in the long term to be victorious? And by adding an element of risk and an element of competition to it, they get really into the game. But the beautiful part about this is at the end of it, when we introduce militarism and alliances and imperialism and nationalism, it makes that much more sense because the students have experienced it firsthand. They know what it's like to lose. They know what it's like to win. They know how it feels. And they really, really get into the game. At the end of the semester, we always hear from our students that they prefer this game more than almost anything else we do because it immerses them in the topic. It makes them part of the simulation, and it engages them early in the course. To give a brief example of how this works, one only need look at the map on the left. This is the map as it looks to start. I'll give you a brief example of how it would work. Our students themselves, early on, can decide to move armies around. So, for example, if Germany with 2 armies was to move to Belgium, we would put the 2 armies in here. France then, on their turn, could decide to move their armies as well. Say, for example, France moves 4 armies. We now have the equivalent of 2-to-1 ratio as France puts 4 armies in and Germany puts in 2. Now, why this works well is the students know the odds and the averages because before we start anything, we show them this screen, which tells them what the battle chart is. In a 2-to-1 ratio, in this case, what it would mean for our students is that in the event of a 1, the defender removes all their armies. In the event of a 2, 3, or 4, they move equal numbers. In the event of a 5, the attacker retreats, and in the event of a 6, the attacker is destroyed. So our students know going in that in a 2-to-1 ratio, the attacker wants 1 through 4. The defender wants 5 or 6. As we go back to our map, now we're ready to roll the dice. The dice is right here. We tap the dice and we see what happens. In this case, it's a 2. If we go back and we look, they move equal numbers of armies. In which case, Germany would be eliminated and France would be left with 2. Meaning at the end, France would have 2 armies in Belgium and would control it. But that's not the end of it, because at the end of the unit, or the end of the year, when everyone is finished, we go to the growth chart. And in looking at the growth chart, each country gets a certain number of armies every year. So even if you lose, you gain some again. And at the end of the turn, they get to replenish their stock. So Germany might get 8 more and be able to add into here and have another go. This is fundamental to the game because the students have to think long term to see what they're going to do next. And we give them a certain amount of time, as can be seen here on the clock, to plan. So they realize that you only have a certain amount of time to make your decisions. And at the end of the game, we add up the totals to see who wins, and we put the numbers in here. And whoever has the most objectives and the most points is the winner. At the end of that, then, we have them reflect on this in a written reflection that is formative, which assesses for us both assessment for and as learning. Because when we move into the causes of war, it's that much more clear for our students.